Our oceans. They cover more than 2/3 of the surface of the world and hold a great amount of biodiversity. In this chapter, we will look into 3 ocean-related biodiversity issues: stopping overfishing, protecting coral reefs, and setting up protected areas in the high seas. People have fished in the sea since ancient times, and nature was able to reproduce what fishermen took from the sea. Population growth, more fishermen, and more efficient fishing techniques changed the situation dramatically. Today, overfishing is the greatest single threat to marine wildlife and biodiversity. Although more and well-equipped fisher boats try to catch fish, the worldwide amount of wild fish capture has not increased since the 1990s for a very simple reason: there are no more fish to catch. Today, 3/4 of the world's oceans are fully exploited or overfished. If we want to continue to eat fish in the future, we need to make fishing practices sustainable. Sustainable fishery aims at catching fish at a rate that leaves the fish population stable over time. In many countries, fishing quotas are determined in a political process. The fishing industry and scientists usually have different views about the amount of fish that can be taken each year. Very generous fishing quotas that do not consider natural processes are risky because one day all the fish could be gone. Since it gets more difficult to make a living from fishing, some countries pay the fishermen subsidies or reduce taxes. This leads to even more fishing boats and to enterprises that can hardly survive. Overcapacity is not only a problem for fish stocks but also for fishermen. They must compete to the point where it becomes almost impossible to make a living. But fishermen need to make a living somehow. The question therefore is, should incentives and subsidies that lead to overfishing be abolished? Coral reefs are among the most diverse ecosystems on Earth. They cover a tiny 0.1% of the world's ocean, yet they provide a home for 1/4 of all marine species, including fish, turtles, sponges, and all other types of marine life. They are most common at shallow depths in tropical waters. Coral reefs deliver ecosystem services useful to tourism, fisheries, and shoreline protection. However, coral reefs are fragile. They are under threat from illegal fishing, overuse of reef resources, and urban and agricultural water pollution. Scientists say that more than 1/3 of the world's coral reefs have already been destroyed or are seriously damaged. Most coral reefs are located in tropical waters, where developing countries not always have enough resources to invest in reef protection. Since coral reefs contribute to global biodiversity, the question is, who should pay for the protection of coral reefs? Only countries that have reefs, all countries, or only developed countries? Marine protected areas are nature reserves in the ocean. One of the biodiversity targets is to increase this marine protected areas to 10% by 2020. Most marine protected areas are in coastal waters for a simple reason. Coastal waters are under legal control of nation-states. Outside a 200-mile zone, the high seas begin where no nation can impose its own laws. Marine protected areas in high seas could only be established in a global international effort. The United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea covers high seas but does not consider biodiversity protection. The protection of marine areas in the high seas will be very difficult without a new international agreement. So the question is, should a new international agreement be made to establish more marine protected areas in the high seas?